Good morning and welcome to Ask the Expert. I'm Joe Taylor. This morning, another in the ongoing series of programs presented by the Northwest Regional Key Program for Quality Early Learning. The program, through the Northwest Institute of Research, oversees a grant from the Office of Child Development and Early Learning at the Pennsylvania Department of Public Welfare and the Department of Education. The goal of the program is to improve the outcomes for young children as they prepare for school. John Posa is a community partner specialist for the program, and he's here with us and will be throughout the entire series. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Joe. How are you?
Great, and we have a guest this morning on the phone, right?
Yes, we do. I'm very pleased to welcome Dr. Barb Minzenberg, who is Pennsylvania's Deputy Secretary of the Office of Child Development and Early Learning. So obviously that department is part of the overseer of everything that we do with early childhood development here in Pennsylvania and early learning. And welcome, Barb, to the program.
Thank you, John. It's good to be here.
Well, Barb has a lot to talk to us about today, Joe. And first of all, before we even get started, I wanted to ask Barb to tell us a little bit about the Office of Child Development and Early Learning and its work.
Oh, sure, John. This office is a dual deputate, and that means, as Joe mentioned, that I report both to the Secretary of Public Welfare as well as the Secretary of the Department of Education. And this unified system allows us to house all the child-serving systems and programs under one roof for the children in Pennsylvania. It therefore allows us to have a unified data collection and analysis system, unified standards for children and environment and professional development and so on. So the unification helps us to standardize quality across all of the systems and programs. Our mission is to serve children and families by preparing children for kindergarten and life success. And our long-term strategy is really articulated in our Race to the Top Early Learning Challenge grant.
What exactly is Race to the Top, the Race to the Top Early Learning Challenge? What exactly is that?
Well, Joe, this was a federal competitive opportunity that we were awarded. We were one of 6 states to be awarded in 2013, which was the third round of this grant award. And Pennsylvania our office received $51.7 million over 4 years. So the grant runs from January 2014 to December 2017. We've been working very hard in Pennsylvania to provide children, especially children who are at risk of school failure, with high-quality early learning opportunities. The Race to the Top Early Learning Challenge grant provides us with an opportunity to really strengthen our system. It really doesn't fund additional slots for children, but rather helps us to build a stronger system to help us to close the achievement gap.
So this was an award then that Pennsylvania won for its children. What do you anticipate the results will be down the road for the children of the Commonwealth? Sure.
Well, it gives us a great opportunity to refine and expand programming for kids. We will be able to help kids by increasing opportunities for quality through reduction and elimination of the achievement gap for at-risk children. And it also helps us to provide systems for accountability so that we are sure the taxpayers are getting the return on investment that they deserve to get. We really have broken this into, and I'll stay very high level here because the grant it's actually a 600-page plan, but there are 9 work strands in the plan. Some of those include early childhood community innovation zones, refining and expanding the Keystone Stars program, our kindergarten entry inventory, and also Governor's Institutes for Educators.
Well, you mentioned the Community Innovation Zone grants, Barb. And that's something that, of course, as part of my job as a community partner specialist within the Northwest region, I will be working very closely with. But our viewers may, or our listeners may not really be aware of how that particular program will work. Could you explain?
Sure. The Community Innovation Zone grants are one of the 9 strategies, as I mentioned. We know that there are pockets of excellence here in Pennsylvania, that there is excellent, wonderful, exemplary, innovative work going on. And this was a strategy to help us identify those areas of excellence in Pennsylvania. There are really 3 bodies of work that we were looking for. One is family engagement. How are communities engaging families in the growth and development of their children? Another was strengthening relationships between early childhood and school districts. And the third is strengthening community networks so that children are really not just well educated, but also supported by medical and dental homes, properly insured, fully immunized prior to kindergarten, and all of those important other supports that need to happen. The Community Innovation Zones represent a $75,000 per year award, and it is for 3 years in each community. There will be a total of 50 of these awards, so $225,000 per community in 50 communities in Pennsylvania. It's a great opportunity. This is probably one of the most exciting opportunities in the grant, or has generated a lot of interest at least. This year, the first phase was rolled out. We have just awarded the first 12 Community Innovation Awards. And so there will be competition next year for the remaining 38 grants to be awarded in July 2015.
I was wondering, are any of those grants here in our area of Pennsylvania? And that would be Clearfield, Jefferson, Clarion County, Elk, Forest, those counties at all? Do you know?
Yes, there was a Northwestern Pennsylvania grant awarded in Oil City, quite an exemplary collaboration between an early care and education center and the Oil City School District. Very exciting work they're doing there.
Now, you mentioned about the Keystone Stars program, of course, which is obviously the program that I'm involved with, and that will be actually part of the Race to the Top grant. I know that the STARS program is, for those who are not aware, it's Pennsylvania's tiered quality rating system for early care and education programs. We've talked about Keystone Stars in an earlier program, one of our first programs actually, when we started the Quality Early Learning Talk Show. I'm sure everyone knows how important quality is for our children, but how will this grant, in terms of its rollout, how will we be modifying the STAR system?
Well, that's a great question. You know, John, I know you're aware that this Keystone Stars system that we have is one of the most mature in the country. It began almost 12 years ago now, and many states still don't have a tiered quality rating system, but we were one of the pioneers here in Pennsylvania to do that. And because it is a mature system, we feel like it's time to take a look at it, to really study, are we keeping up with our standards with the latest research? Are we in concurrence with the latest research? Are we having the highest level of participation possible? About 65% of our child care centers do participate, but it's time to refine and expand the program. So we were very fortunate. As part of the Race to the Top, we have a public-private partnership with the William Penn Foundation and the University of Pennsylvania to have researchers right now looking at an inquiry into the system. They are conducting a national review of all the research. and comparing it against our own system. So challenging Pennsylvania to say, gosh, are we doing really the best, most leading-edge practices possible? They are also conducting very wide provider and family surveys to get providers and families' perception of the program, including what's working well and what are the barriers, and how can we encourage families and providers to really seek out quality through the Keystone Stars system. And then the third research question is really how well the current standards impact quality and in terms of child outcomes. So the results, we'll know them at the end, well, let's just say early in 2015. This first-year research is wrapping up right now. We'll have a report early 2015. That will inform changes that we're making in the system, and we'll be rolling them out in 15 and 16, and then again, taking a look back, using a research inquiry to study the changes and see how well we did. We know that we want to implement strategies to recruit more. I know you have a lot of rural communities up there. We really need a higher level of participation in quality in rural communities. We also want to expand Keystone Stars to include other types of early childhood serving systems, such as early intervention and private academic nursery schools.
You mentioned getting other communities up in our area to participate. What is the process in that? How do you approach the community? Do the communities approach you for them to participate in these programs?
Yes, in fact, you're sitting there with John Posa, who has a lot to do
right.
with recruitment and enrolling and supporting early care and education providers as they are on their journey and quest to improve quality. So we're really thankful for the partnership up there with the Northwest Keys.
In terms of testing the effectiveness of what you're doing with pre-K kids, there is something called the Kindergarten Entry Inventory. Is the purpose of that then to test the effectiveness, or is it just another test for little kids? How does this benefit the children, their families, and their communities?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks for that question. The Kindergarten Entry Inventory is another area where we're getting lots of excitement. I know you share, along with other Pennsylvanians, the feeling that we need to get the best return on investment possible from the money we're investing in early childhood systems. And so one way we're doing this is through the Kindergarten Entry Inventory. It's really not a test. It's really an observational method in which teachers, through observing children, kindergarten children, at work and at play in the kindergarten setting, will be able to assess what they know and are able to do. We've been piloting this, Joe, for 3 years, and we're now on the brink of expanding this statewide. We use family input, but also, as I said, observation. It's really not kindergartners sitting down and taking a paper pencil test. This year, focus and priority schools, so lower achieving schools in Pennsylvania, are required to use this. And Philadelphia is one school district that implemented this universally. They feel that there's such value in this, and we're ultimately hoping that all school districts do adopt this. This is a free, no cost to school districts tool that will be able to do a couple of things. One, take a look back at where children came from in their early education experience, and then take a look forward to see what standards they're working on and how we can best promote their growth in kindergarten. There will be reports for teachers, school districts, and communities to see how kids are doing.
Now, one of the things I know when the kindergarten entry inventory came out, Barb, is there was a little bit of concern among the early childhood teachers that they thought that this may be part of an assessment on how well they were doing also with the kids in the classrooms. But can you kind of comment on that as far as to alleviate any fears that they may still have regarding the kindergarten entry inventory?
Oh, that's a great topic, something for us to really think deeply about, John. The purpose is certainly not a gotcha, but rather to help us to analyze our own efforts, our own programming here in the state of Pennsylvania, and see, wow, perhaps we need to improve our own professional development for early educators, for example, in the area of mathematics or in the area of literacy. And so it will inform our work at a state level to help early educators do the best job they can in preparing kids for the next school setting, kindergarten.
Barb, I have to definitely bring up a subject that's near and dear to your heart because you've been involved in this for quite some time. But the importance of digital media literacy with our young kids today. I know that you have worked extensively in this area. Can you tell us a little bit about some of your work and what the latest research is showing on how important this is to child development?
Sure. Well, thanks for bringing that up, John. That is a subject that is near and dear to my heart. I think that we find ourselves in an emerging digital age. Many of the school districts, K through 8 and beyond, are using electronic books and electronically individually paced learning strategies and curricula. We need to prepare our children for this interface. And I also think we are responsible as educational leaders to help the community understand that there is an appropriate and not so appropriate way to do this work. There can be overuse. There can be use that is not standards-based or good for young children. So we have to be discriminating learners around what works well for kids and how to balance that with physical activity and the other experiences, the social activities that children should be having in their young lives.
Your office was created in 2007. What findings or concerns at that point led to the need to create the Office of Child Development and Early Learning? How did it begin? What was the idea for it in terms of addressing a need?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a great question. It actually began with a study in the Ridge and Schweiker administration on early care and education, and this inquiry was about quality. And what was learned is that the quality around early care and education was variable in Pennsylvania, and there were no real efforts to increase and enhance quality efforts. And so at that time, all the child-serving systems were brought under one roof. There was great effort for collecting data around quality to be sure we had benchmarks and could measure our progress. And Pennsylvania was really, again, a pioneer in this area, that unified governance. And actually, we're the only state that has a dual deputate, as we do, but unified governance, either bringing all child serving together in education or together in health and human services or under one agency, is now certainly what everyone is striving for, all states in the country.
Aside from standardization, were there any other specific challenges in terms of the nature of Pennsylvania that was maybe at that point challenging effectively preparing children for school?
Mm-hmm. Well, change is always difficult. So it was certainly something that was formative, but also controversial at the time. Pennsylvania also is, we are rich in diversity here. And so we have to become aware that there are rural areas as well as, in fact, our greatest landmass, as you know, is rural in Pennsylvania. It is not just all about Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. And so we have to, yes, do unified systems, but that are flexible to accommodate the needs of all of the children in Pennsylvania.
Now, one of the things, obviously, that represents a fairly decent change is the advent of the Common Core learning standards, Barb. And obviously, this is not just something that's in Pennsylvania. It's something that's being rolled out nationwide. And of course, in the alignment, especially how it affects preschool, actually preschool to grade 3. Can you kind of touch on how Common Core is having an impact so far in the early stages in Pennsylvania?
Sure. Well, we do have aligned early learning standards, so it's important, of course, that we're adequately preparing our young little ones for success in kindergarten. So we must align our standards and practices, which is not to say we're pushing down curriculum or expecting smaller, younger children to do kindergarten-level work, but it just must be preparatory for the children. The Common Core, as you mentioned, has been controversial, John. I think you may know that the Department of Education has recently opened a website. It is on the PDE website, but for commenting, if there are questions about the Common Core or objections, and I'm talking now about the K to 12 Pennsylvania core standards, citizens are invited, and this is with true sincerity that Pennsylvania Department of Education is looking for comments about the Pennsylvania core standards. If modifications are made at that K-12 level, we will then follow suit in our early learning standards and make adjustments in kind. But you're right, we're doing a lot of work in that preschool or prenatal, really, to grade 3 alignment. We're working with Dr. Christy Cowers, University of Washington and Harvard, Center on the Developing Child, in her P3 alignment framework. We're encouraging and helping school districts all over the Commonwealth to apply that framework to make a strategic plan.
Well, Barb, I'll tell you, this half hour went so quickly, and there's so much valuable information. Of course, we could go on much longer, but that's all the time we have. But I really want to thank you for participating in our program today with such valuable information, and hopefully you'll be back.
All right. Well, it was a real pleasure, John and Joe, and thanks for having me.
And that's our program for today. We'll be back in 2 weeks at this same time. In the meantime, you can go online to learn more at papromiseforchildren.com. If you have any questions, please email them to questions@nwirkey.org. For John Posa and the Northwest Regional Key Program for Quality Early Learning, I'm Joe Taylor. Thank you for listening, and have a great day.